Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Picture this, a college art student with a wildly ambitious dream. It's springtime, and while her classmates are applying to local coffee shops and retail stores, she's dreaming of something completely different. She wants to spend her summer in Italy. Not just visiting, mind you. She wants to work there, explore 6 different cities, spend an entire week in Florence with her friends, earn decent money for half the summer, then head home to actually enjoy her break. Sounds amazing, right? It also sounds completely unrealistic. The kind of pipe dream that would require thousands of dollars, perfect timing, and the sort of luck that only happens in movies. Her father, who happens to study the nature of reality itself, gives her advice that sounds almost mystical. Your job, he tells her, is to take care of the what. A greater mind will handle the how. Then he explains something that sounds bizarre. Every single day, she needs to do more than daydream about this trip. She needs to feel it so intensely that her brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. You can't get up from your mental creation as the same person who sat down, he insists. You have to get up as if you just had the most incredible summer of your life. So she commits. Every single day, she closes her eyes and lives her Italian adventure. She feels the Mediterranean sun on her skin, tastes the pasta, hears the musical flow of Italian conversation around her. She even feels the deep gratitude of having experienced this perfect summer. A few weeks pass. She calls her dad, excited but uncertain. There's a summer program in Italy, but it costs $4,000. It's close to her vision, but not quite right. He gently reminds her to stick to her original vision. Don't compromise. Keep living in that experience. More weeks go by. Then she calls again, and this time her voice is practically vibrating with excitement. She'd been in the library, casually chatting with her art history teacher in Italian, when something magical happened. Her teacher suddenly remembered that a colleague needed someone to teach beginner Italian to American students in Italy for the summer. The position would pay her, all expenses covered, 6 different Italian cities over 6 weeks. The final week? Florence. And she'd be home for the second half of summer. Every single detail. She didn't chase this opportunity down. She didn't hustle or manipulate circumstances. The experience found her, as if drawn by some invisible force, because she had already become the person to whom this opportunity belonged. Now, you might be thinking this is just a lucky coincidence, a feel-good story about positive thinking. But what if it's something more? What if this story reveals a fundamental principle about how reality actually works? That's exactly what we're exploring today, in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, by Dr. Joe Dispenza. This isn't your typical self-help book. It's sold millions of copies and been translated into dozens of languages, because it tackles a question that keeps most of us awake at night. Are we just passengers in our own lives, or do we actually have the power to shape our reality? Dr. Dispenza didn't arrive at these ideas from some ivory tower. His journey started with a tragedy. A cycling accident left him with a shattered spine. Doctors told him he'd likely never walk again without major surgery that could leave him in chronic pain for life. Instead, he made a radical choice. He turned inward, using nothing but his mind to heal his broken body. And it worked. He walked again. That experience became his life's mission, understanding the science of how our thoughts literally reshape our physical reality. So buckle up. For the next hour, we're diving deep into ideas that might completely change how you see yourself. We're not talking about minor habit adjustments or productivity hacks. We're talking about breaking the biggest habit you have, the habit of being you. By the time we're done, you'll understand how to stop being a prisoner of your past and start becoming the architect of your future. Let's kick things off with a weird question. What are you actually made of? You probably learned in school that you're made of cells, which are made of molecules, which are made of atoms. For a really long time, we imagined atoms as tiny solid balls, like microscopic marbles. This was the world of classical physics, Isaac Newton's world, where everything worked like a giant machine. Predictable, orderly. If you push this, that happens. Every single time. In this mechanical universe, we humans were basically just sophisticated pinballs, bouncing around at the mercy of external forces. Our thoughts? Just background noise. Invisible, powerless, completely separate from the real physical world. Then Albert Einstein showed up and blew the whole thing apart. His famous equation, E equals mc squared, revealed something mind-bending. Energy and matter aren't different things. They're the same thing in different forms. They're interchangeable. This discovery launched us into the quantum physics revolution. And here's where it gets wild. Those solid little atoms, they're not solid at all. An atom is actually 99.999999% energy and only 0.0000001% physical stuff. Let that sink in for a second. You are more empty space than substance. Everything you see around you, everything that feels solid and real, is almost entirely an invisible field of energy. So if we're mostly empty space, why does everything feel so solid? And more importantly, what does any of this have to do with creating the life you want? This is where quantum physics gets absolutely fascinating. In the quantum realm, the building blocks of atoms don't behave like things in our everyday world. An electron doesn't exist in one specific place. It exists as a wave of infinite possibilities, everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, until someone observes it. That's right. The moment an observer focuses their attention on a specific location, that wave of possibilities collapses into a single particle, a physical event. This is called the observer effect, and it's been proven in laboratories over and over again. Your consciousness, your attention, directly affects physical reality. Where you focus your attention is where you place your energy. Your thoughts aren't just abstract mental activity. They're the very language that communicates with this field of energy, telling it what to become. Think about the implications here. If every potential reality already exists as a wave of possibility in the quantum field, then there's a version of reality where you're healthy, abundant, fulfilled, living the life you've always dreamed about. That reality isn't something you need to build from scratch. It already exists, just waiting for an observer. Waiting for you. So how do we communicate with this quantum field? Dr. Dispenza gives us a brilliant framework. Think of your thoughts as the electrical signal you broadcast into the field, and your feelings as the magnetic signal you send out. Your thoughts are the television channel you're tuning into. Your feelings are what magnetically draw the programs back to you. Together, your thoughts and feelings create a state of being, which generates a unique electromagnetic signature. That signature is what you're constantly broadcasting to the universe, whether you realize it or not. And here's the crucial part. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being. Have you ever tried thinking positive thoughts while feeling terrible? You tell yourself, I am wealthy, I am successful, but deep down you feel broke and anxious. You're thinking one thing but feeling the complete opposite. Your thoughts are the language of your brain, but feelings are the language of your body. When your mind and body are sending different signals, you're broadcasting static. It's like trying to listen to two radio stations at once. Nothing comes through clearly. The quantum field only responds consistently when your thoughts and feelings are aligned, when your mind and body are working together, when you combine a clear intention, a thought, with an elevated emotion, a feeling. That's what creates a new state of being. And that new state of being is what creates a new reality. This is the fundamental shift from the old Newtonian cause and effect model to the quantum model of causing an effect. In the old model, you wait for something external to change how you feel internally. You wait to win the lottery to feel abundant. You wait for the promotion to feel successful. You wait for the perfect relationship to feel loved. You're a victim of your circumstances. But in the quantum model, you flip the script. You change your internal world first, your thoughts and feelings, before anything external changes. You teach your body emotionally what abundance feels like before the money shows up. You embody worthiness and love before the relationship arrives. You feel gratitude as if your prayers have already been answered. When you do this, you're no longer a victim of reality. You become its creator. You're broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the field. And because every potential reality already exists, when your signature matches the signature of a reality you desire, you'll be drawn to that event, or that event will find you. This is exactly what happened to Dr. Dispenza's daughter. She didn't just think about Italy, she felt it. She lived in the emotional reality of that future before it happened. Her state of being broadcast a clear, powerful signal, and the quantum field orchestrated events that matched it perfectly, in a way she never could have predicted or forced. That's the beautiful part. When you create from the quantum field, the outcome should surprise you. It should feel almost magical. If you can predict exactly how something will unfold, it's just your old self creating the same old outcomes. Real magic happens when you hold a clear intention of what you want, but let the how unfold through that greater universal intelligence. You trust. You surrender. You stop trying to control every detail. You begin to realize you're not just a physical body living a predetermined life. You're consciousness itself, intimately connected to a vast intelligent field of infinite possibility that's been waiting for you to wake up and remember the power you've always had. So if all this is true, if we really do have this incredible power to shape reality, why do so many of us feel stuck? Why do we wake up every day, think the same thoughts, make the same choices, feel the same emotions, and wonder why nothing ever changes? This is where we get to the heart of the book, breaking the habit of being yourself. Dr. Dispenza explains that most of us are trapped by what he calls the big three: our environment, our body, and time. Let's start with environment. Your brain is essentially a record of your past. Every person you've met, every place you've been, every experience you've had is stored in your neural networks. So what happens when you wake up in the morning? You open your eyes and see your familiar bedroom, the same partner next to you, the same sounds outside your window. Your senses immediately plug you back into your known reality. And because your brain is organized to reflect everything familiar in your environment, that environment triggers familiar thoughts. You think the same thoughts as yesterday. Those thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices create the same behaviors. The same behaviors produce the same experiences. Those experiences generate the same emotions. And those emotions drive you to think the same thoughts all over again. You're caught in a closed loop. Your inner world perfectly mirrors your outer world. As long as your external reality controls your internal reality, you'll keep creating more of the same. To change, you have to learn to think and feel greater than your environment. There's a principle in neuroscience called Hebb's Law. nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Every time you think a thought, you activate a specific neural pathway. Think that same thought repeatedly, and that pathway becomes a superhighway. It becomes automatic, hardwired. You literally become neurologically wired to your past. This brings us to the second trap, your body. Remember how thoughts create feelings. Every time you think a thought, your brain releases chemicals. These chemicals are messengers that tell your body how to feel. Think an angry thought, and you start feeling angry. Think a grateful thought, and you start feeling grateful. But here's where it gets tricky. Your brain is constantly monitoring how your body feels. So once you start feeling angry, your brain generates more thoughts that match that feeling. You begin to think the way you feel. This creates a feedback loop of thinking and feeling, feeling and thinking. Over time, this loop creates a state of being. If you've spent 20 years practicing guilt, anxiety, or unworthiness, you've conditioned your body to live in those chemical states. Your body has memorized those emotions. They've become your subconscious operating system. And here's the kicker. Psychologists tell us that by our mid-30s, about 95% of who we are consists of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, and unconscious programs. This means that 95% of the time, you're on autopilot. Your conscious mind isn't driving, your body is. You might consciously want happiness, but your body has been programmed for suffering. That 5% of your conscious mind is trying to fight the 95% subconscious body mind. This is why positive thinking alone so rarely works. You're trying to think one way, while your body, your actual state of being, is pulling you in the opposite direction. The servant has become the master. Your body has become addicted to familiar emotional states. Imagine you decide, today I'm done feeling guilty. For a couple hours you feel great, but then your cells, which have been bathed in guilt chemicals for years, start sending alarm signals. Suddenly you hear that little voice. You can start tomorrow. This doesn't feel right. Remember that thing you did 10 years ago? You should feel guilty about that. That's your body talking you back into your familiar state. It wants its chemical fix. And most of us give in. We return to the habit of being ourselves. To truly change, you have to think greater than how you feel. You have to recondition your body to a new mind. This brings us to the final trap, time. Most of us live with one foot in the past and one foot in the future. We're either replaying old memories, which trigger old emotions, or we're anxiously anticipating a predictable future, which is usually just our past projected forward. We're almost never truly in the present moment. But the present moment is where all the power lives. It's the only place where you can access the quantum field. When your mind is stuck in the past or future, you're disconnected from infinite possibility. When you're in survival mode, driven by stress hormones and fight-or-flight responses, your attention fixates on the big three. You're obsessed with your body. How do I stay safe? Your environment, where's the danger? And time, how much time do I have? In survival mode, you're a somebody. Your identity is wrapped up in your body, the people you know, the possessions you own, and the problems you face. You're defining reality purely through your senses. You're completely disconnected from the 99.9% of reality that is energy and possibility. But when you shift into a creative state, something remarkable happens. Think about a time when you were completely absorbed in something you loved. Playing music, creating art, deep in conversation. What happened to your sense of self? It disappeared. You forgot about your body. Your environment faded away. Time seemed to vanish. In those moments, you became a nobody. No body, no thing, no time. You became pure consciousness. This is the secret. You can't enter the quantum field as a somebody. You have to leave your ego, your identity, your problems at the door. You have to enter as a nobody, as pure awareness. This is the state of creation. It's where you stop being a victim of the big three and become their master. And this is the state you learn to access through meditation. So how do we actually do this? How do we move from thinking to doing to finally being this new person? Dr. Dispenza explains that we have, essentially, three brains working together. First is the neocortex, your thinking brain. This is where you learn new information and imagine new possibilities. It's the architect that designs the blueprint for your new self. Second is the limbic brain, your emotional brain. When you take knowledge from your thinking brain and apply it, when you have a new experience, this brain produces chemicals that create new emotions. It teaches your body what your mind has intellectually learned. Third is the cerebellum, home of your subconscious mind. When you practice something so many times it becomes automatic, this brain stores that program as a habit. This is where you shift into a new state of being. Normally we learn by moving from thinking to doing to being. You think about how to drive, you practice driving, and eventually you become a driver. But here's the gift of human consciousness. We can go directly from thinking to being. Through mental rehearsal, through meditation, you can create an experience in your mind so vivid that your body believes it's actually happening. The thought becomes the experience, and the result of that experience is an emotion. When you can generate the emotion of a future event before it occurs, your body, as the unconscious mind, begins making changes. Your brain rewires itself. It installs the neurological hardware, as if the experience already happened. Your body produces new proteins. It signals genes in new ways. You're biologically transforming into your new self. This isn't theory. In one study, people who mentally rehearsed one-handed piano exercises for 2 hours daily showed nearly identical brain changes as people who physically practiced on an actual piano. Their brains literally changed before any physical experience occurred. This is what happens in meditation. You get beyond your analytical mind, which keeps you trapped in beta brainwave patterns, endlessly thinking about problems. You learn to slow your brainwaves into alpha and theta states. This is the doorway to your subconscious operating system. In this state, you first unlearn. You become familiar with your old self. You observe your automatic thoughts, habitual behaviors, and memorized emotions without judgment. By observing them, you're no longer the program. You're the consciousness witnessing the program. And you begin unwiring those old connections. Nerve cells that no longer fire together, no longer wire together. Then you create. You ask yourself, what's the greatest version of myself I can imagine? You contemplate this new self so deeply that the thought becomes the experience. You feel the emotions of this future person: joy, gratitude, freedom, love. You teach your body what this new reality feels like. You recondition your body to a new mind. You practice this daily. You move from thinking about it to doing it mentally until finally you are it. It becomes your new state of being. When your state of being changes, your personality changes. And remember the most powerful principle in this entire book: your personality creates your personal reality. A new personality creates a new personal reality. When you stand up from meditation, you can't be the same person who sat down. You've been neurologically, chemically, and genetically altered. You're literally someone else. And as this new person, you'll naturally think and act in ways that align with who you're now being. This is the moment of demonstration. You have to live your entire day as if your vision has already manifested. You maintain that modified state of mind and body, independent of your circumstances. You can't meditate for 30 minutes as a wealthy person, then spend the rest of the day complaining about being broke. Your behaviors must match your intentions. When you achieve this alignment, when your inner world and outer actions match, your new reality must appear. It's law. And it will show up in unexpected, surprising ways that leave no doubt they came from something greater, inspiring you to keep going. This is the journey. Breaking the habit of being yourself isn't about fighting who you are. It's about becoming so aware of your old self that you can consciously make new choices. It's about releasing the illusion that you're just a somebody defined by your past and embracing the truth that you're a nobody, pure consciousness with access to infinite possibility. It's about closing the gap between who you appear to be and who you truly are. And in that process, you liberate the energy needed to step into the greatest version of yourself and create the life you were always meant to live. As we wrap up this journey through breaking the habit of being yourself, I want to highlight what I believe is the most revolutionary idea in the entire book. It's a simple shift in perspective, but it changes everything. Most of our lives we operate under the assumption of cause and effect. We believe something external has to happen before we can feel a certain way. We need a reason to be happy. We need a reason to feel grateful. We wait for the world to give us permission to feel good. Dr. Dispenza invites us to flip that model completely. He asks us to move from cause and effect to causing an effect, to generate feelings of joy, abundance, and wholeness from within before any evidence shows up externally. This isn't just mental trickery. It's biological and quantum reality. When you generate elevated emotions by choice, you're literally changing your body's chemistry. You're sending new signals to your genes. You're broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the quantum field. You're becoming the person to whom your desired future already belongs. This is true empowerment, the realization that you're not at the mercy of your environment, genetics, or past. At any moment, you can decide to think, feel, and act differently. You can choose to stop being your old self. Of course, knowing this and doing it are completely different things. Your body, addicted to familiar emotions, will resist. Your analytical mind will call it nonsense. Your environment will try pulling you back into old patterns. That's why the meditative practice Dr. Dispenza outlines is so essential. It's the daily discipline of getting beyond your body, environment, and time to connect with something greater. If you're feeling inspired to actually apply these ideas, here are a few simple actions you can start today. First, just become aware. For the next 24 hours, notice one automatic, unconscious thought or feeling. Maybe it's that flash of judgment in traffic, anxiety when checking email, or your habitual complaining. Don't try to change it. Just observe it. Observation itself is the first step in reclaiming your power. It's shifting from being the program to being the consciousness aware of the program. Second, ask yourself a new question. Tomorrow morning, before doing anything else, ask, what's the greatest version of myself I can be today? Just sit with that question for a minute. You don't need a perfect answer. The question itself activates your frontal lobe, your creative brain, pointing your mind toward possibility instead of predictability. Finally, practice gratitude for your future. Take just 2 minutes to feel the emotions of a desired future as if it's already happened. What would it feel like to have that dream job, to be in that loving relationship, to be free from chronic pain? Don't just think about it. Generate the actual feeling in your heart. This is the language the universe understands. That was a summary of breaking the habit of being yourself. by Dr. Joe Dispenza. We've explored the core principles today, but honestly, a summary can only scratch the surface. Real transformation happens when you engage with the book directly. It's in those quiet reading moments when a particular story or concept clicks in a way you didn't expect. This summary is meant to be a map, helping you decide if this journey resonates with you. If anything we've discussed today has sparked something within you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can fundamentally shift how you see yourself in reality. A link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us know we're creating content you value and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another transformative book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.